So one of the things that I wanted to show you was how to find our the ceremonies. Sorry, I'll get my brain here in a second. So I'm going to screen share for those of you that attended the gratitude ceremony last week. That's something, of course, for those of you that have been attending a long time, know that we do, every year. And it is a ceremony that was given to me by Spirit, by my spirit guides years ago. And anyway, I want to show you where if you want to do a gratitude ceremony yourself, go to the Reiki Lifestyle website, reikilifestyle.com, go to resources, all the way down to Reiki ceremonies. And here is how to do the gratitude ceremony. And then also we will do a burning bowl ceremony at the beginning of the year here for our distance Reiki share. But if you want to do this for New Year's, here is a how-to. So you can always just go in and download the articles, the instructions, and it gives you all different ideas, different ways that you can do it. So I wanted to show you guys that also with the gratitude ceremony because we're talking about holidays today. So anyway, that was my first thought. I do want to give some announcements to make sure we remember to do that. I have a Reiki 1 and 2 class coming up Saturday, Sunday. Also an animal Reiki 1 and 2 on Monday, Tuesday of next week. And then also our next step Reiki classes and our 12 heavens, explore the 12 heavens classes start in January. And those are year-long classes. We have lots of information about it on our YouTube channel. You can go to our website, lots of information about them there too. So registration is open. We have an early bird offer that if you register now, you can receive the early bird booklet, which is 5 both written and recorded guided Reiki journeys. And it's a neat little booklet. So you can do that by December 8th. And then also registration is open until January 13th. Anything else, Robin? No? Okay. So what we want to talk about today is how to use Reiki to manage holiday stress. And that has such a different meaning for everyone. So, holiday stress, of course, is so different for everybody. Some people have too much to do. Some people have, too little to do. Relationships can be challenged. Finances can be challenged. And then the other piece of it that I think is really important to understand in a group like ours, this, Reiki communities, generally we are often very empathic, compassionate people. And so we also can pick up on the collective stress of the holidays that people go through. In addition, it's a particularly stressful time globally in humanity. And so we think that it's very important to think about the ways and the tools and the resources that you have to manage it all. So I was talking to my husband even last week, and I can't remember what it was about, but that's how important it was. But I remember having the discussion with him about mind management and how I recognize the state of my mind and then actively think about what tools do I have to manage it. And that's particularly when it's in a more negative or downward spiral, or, I can still get the looped, repetitive thoughts that can kind of take me on a spiral downward. And what happens with that, what I notice with it, because I always picture, and this is the way my intuition works or my vision works, clairvoyance is it's very metaphorical. So the way that I see it is there are streams and frequencies of energies, and that I actually, when I'm in a looped thought, it takes me into that lower stream and becomes part of a whole collective stream. And so my thought for mind management is, first of all, to notice it. Second of all, to think about the tools that I have to manage it in any given moment and what my choice is in lifting into higher frequencies. And the piece of that that really was a huge understanding for me personally is that I can be in a higher frequency, in a stream of higher frequency, but still have difficult feelings. And that was a revelation for me, that I could be in a state of being internally, have an inner knowing happening at the same time that I had feelings or thoughts that didn't seem the same. So I could be in grief at the same time that I have inner peace or inner joy, but I can be in the state of mind of grief. I can have anger and still have an inner peace, knowing that I'm going to reflect upon that anger and listen, like, what is this? So that was a big revelation, and I know that Reiki helped me do that. The other revelation that I've had over the years with Reiki is it really is simply saying yes to the energy and then allowing it to come in and do the work for us and for you. So what I mean by that, last week we did the gratitude ceremony, and that gratitude ceremony actually came from a period in my life when I was in very intensive lower energies, both in my own thoughts and with people around me. I had decided to investigate my spiritual connection with opinions. So, I mean, I was just stuck in the opinions, and it was a really hard place to be. And I was asking at the time, I was asking my guides and, Reiki, like, well, what do I do? How do I get out of this? And that's when Reiki came in, and that gratitude ceremony that we did was literally downloaded to me during a Reiki journey in its entirety. Like, it was just a dropped in everything about it. And what my spirit guide said at the time was that gratitude was the solution. But then I had to get to that, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I get there? I'm not feeling grateful. Like, right now things are hard. I am not feeling grateful. So what's the how to? So the ceremony is a big statement of yes. Whether I'm feeling the ceremony in the moment, whether I'm having the experience of it, the real truth of it is it's me inside saying yes to aligning with that higher frequency energy of gratitude. Well, then over time, because we always do that gratitude ceremony at the Sedona, the International Reiki Retreat in Sedona. And the next thing that I learned from Reiki is that I didn't have to earn the gratitude, that I could actually just say yes to it and it would be given to me. And it would fill me up inside, and I might still have that duality of my consciousness where I can be thinking, or feeling less than grateful and have that inner knowing of gratitude inside, that they could coexist, and then hopefully entrain that mental part of it into the actual physical frequency that Reiki provides of gratitude, that by saying yes to it, I'm actually setting an intention and letting the energy of Reiki know that I'm inviting that. So with it comes healing events, and with it comes revealing events, revealing the gifts that we have, the knowing we have, the awareness that, oh, I can use Reiki and it can help me. And, it's one of the tools that I have in my tool bag for when I'm managing all these different frequencies. So bringing all of that back to holiday stress. And again, it's so unique and individual to each one of us here, to each one of you. You have your own version of what that means. Maybe it's not a stressful time at all for you. Maybe it's a really joyful time and you are inviting greater levels of joy, greater levels of childlike wonder, greater levels of connection and spiritual connection. And for some people, it can be a really hard time. And so all of the above and everything in between. And so that's why ultimately each person needs to find your own way of inviting the support that you need to manage the stress that you may be experiencing. So I always go to the how-to. What is the how-to? So the first one is yes. Just simply saying yes to, for instance, I say yes to this being easy, or I say yes to letting go of resistance, or, maybe there are just, for me, sometimes when I can be in the middle of a lot of it, I just say yes to receiving Reiki and let it sort it out for me. Because sometimes that's the big piece of it. How do I sort it all? So it can be a very difficult time with family environments. I'll tell you what, sending Reiki in advance to the space where you are going to be is a good choice. Placing Reiki all around yourself. So what I mean by that, so sending Reiki in advance, you can do that in like a long version of it where you're actually, sitting down with distance Reiki and you're really focused on that time and space. You can send it on the fly. So you can send it thinking about it, like, I'm super busy, but I know that, tomorrow night I have this event going on and it might be a challenging gathering, or maybe it's not just family, maybe it's a social event, let's put it that way. Because I don't know about you guys, but I am not as good at small talk as I used to be. And it's really like, I find myself sometimes like, oh, okay, I know it's in there. I can call that up. And there's another place for Reiki. That mental emotional symbol, communications, just letting your voice come through. So, just social events alone or being in crowds. I know traffic suddenly has increased. Going to the grocery store, both the expense, but also the time factor and the crowds can also be another factor. And you may be one who absolutely loves it all. Like super introvert or extroverted, loving it all, loving the activity, the energy, the rhythm, because there is also that. Like there is the ability to lift into a higher frequency of that energy, of that like liking the rhythm, liking the busyness, liking the whole, social part of it. Many people are very social. So using Reiki for that too. Placing Reiki around you, again, on the fly or physically drawing the symbols. Like I will literally draw the symbols around me, above me, below me, and then right in front of me, and feel like I just envelop myself. I invite my guides to be with me and on the job. Like, okay, everybody, you're on the job. So that can help manage those empathic experiences of being in groups of people or crowds or busyness. And even if it is, I'm loving this, I'm thriving, that you get to be in the fullness of that experience. If it's challenging, having that energy around you. And let's say you forget to do it because you're busy and you're on the run and you get where you're going and suddenly it's like, ugh, go ahead and drop it in thinking about the symbols being all the way around you and above you. You can think them. It's really just setting an intention and the invitation and saying yes. Any of the symbols work, all of the symbols work. You can think the symbols, you cannot think the symbols, you can do Reiki on, you can just simply activate it. And then for me, when I do have time and in the morning, waking up with an intention, at night, going to bed with an intention of just letting go of it all and letting go of the excess. Because to me, right now, there's a lot of excess. I can even feel it in my voice right now. Like I have excess energy that truthfully, I could actually be more tired than my energy is coming out. So, anyway, I don't even know what that means. But like, I don't even know what I just said. Anyway, sometimes just letting go of the excess. Kenyoku, that dry bathing, the one where you take your hands across your body and then through your arms, any kind of clearing technique. And same thing, let's say you're in a place that would be a very weird thing to do, but you suddenly want to clear yourself. You can think it. Reiki works through an energetic connection. It's telepathic. For us, it's helpful. I like the physical part of it. I like the physical rituals. It's important to realize that that's for me. The energy of Reiki comes in through invitation. And it's not even so much like you have to invite it because, just engaging with it at all is the invitation. It's not requiring it, but it's allowing you to choose to make that choice. So it's really all about us engaging with the energy. Finances, that's another one that really can be difficult during holidays. For the moms out there and dads out there, mom and dad guilt over what you can do, what you can't do, all the things you want to do, can't make it happen, all the things you don't want to do and you still make it happen. So all of those things too, that can be a real challenge. The financial aspect of it, balance, being balanced, feeling stable during all of it. Relationships, right now, boy, everything I see out there, there's a lot of very challenged relationships. That seems to be one of the difficult parts. And I will tell you guys, as I listen around everything going on collectively, what I know I can do is love more. And that has always been my solution. And yet, what does that mean? Because that can include boundaries. That can include meeting your own needs and definitely needing to meet your own needs. So, what does love more even mean? How do I express that love more? Or empower love is maybe a more accurate term than love more. It'd be more like, I feel like that's what I can do, is believe in it, empower it, think it, take the steps when I'm not there to empower it anyway. Again, that duality of knowing in who I want to be that is my intention. I do want to stay stable. I do want to be kind. And what does that mean? Because all of that still can include the things like boundaries and navigating through what those are and what does that mean. And it can also include a complete openness, which can lead to overwhelm. Like suddenly it's like I'm saying yes to everything and everybody, and I am full of love and I'm just shining with it all. And then it can also be overwhelming. So there's the other place for activating Reiki is for me, and this one is there's all of the symbols, but I really connect with the distance symbol to get deep into me. Like I use it, we think of it as a distance symbol to send outward. It's the distance symbol I go inward to connect and find that inner truth. So in any given situation, if it is my intention to empower love, what does that mean and how do I do it and how do I use Reiki to help me get there? Because that duality of thought, I might not always feel the way I know I intend to be on the inside, what I care about being. And what does that look like? So again, I do use Reiki, and another one of the tools that I use is called Gasho meditation. So, most people learn Gasho meditation in your Reiki training. This is one of the tools, the main pillars, the first pillar of Reiki that Usui Sensei, the founder, taught. Gasho meditation. So you bring your hands together to your heart and you focus your attention on your hands touching, your fingertips touching, your palms touching. And Gasho brings your focus in, and the Reiki energy now activates with those fingertips touching, and your focus shows up with the energy of Reiki. You can draw the symbols in your hands, activate it that way. You can think the activation of the symbols with your hands. My 5-year-old granddaughter, she's 17 now, but when she was 5, and she came up to me and she said, Grandma, I'm going to give you Reiki. And she just took her hands and went, and then put them on me. And that's when I learned that one, like, oh, I can activate it all just by my breath. I can send it by my breath, but I can activate it. And then put my hands in Gasho So take a moment and let's do this. You can do this together. So breathe deeply and focus your attention on the space between your palms. Bring them to your heart. For many, this is Namaste, prayer position. For those of you that can't see, you're listening to the audio. And now just take a moment to focus your attention on the space between your palms. The symbols are activating within you. Your hands are activating. Reiki on. Focus your attention on the space between your palms. And you can do this for as long or as short as you need to or can. Now bring your thumbs to your third eye at your forehead, back to your heart. That is Reijiho, activating your intuition. And now usually what I will do is I begin with I receive, just receiving Reiki. And then I think about what it is that I want to solve in this moment, or what resources I need, what decision I need to make. So I think about what it is I need to focus on. And just simply ask for insight, information, and clarity. Now you can begin giving yourself Reiki. Also, you can beam the space around you. Intend Reiki is where you are. Let's say those of you that are listening at work, you can just think it. You don't have to do it. Breathe deeply. And now invite insight. Clarity often comes through insight, inspiration. That was only a few minutes. I would say for me, for those of you that have holy fire, I really do use holy fire a lot for that. But I also will use any of the symbols, all of the symbols, the Karuna symbols. I can just think all symbols open on. But that is probably the single number one tool I use for clarity of mind. Priorities, because that's another one that we can can be really challenging during holidays, or what is my to-do list and what are my priorities? And what if I don't have a to-do list at all? Or what if I'm just thriving in my to-do list? So all of the above, each of you has your own way, but like taking that moment. And sometimes for me, I can do that in 1 minute. And other times I'll stay in that Gasho meditation for a length of time. And then inviting insight.
Yeah.
So insight, inspiration can mean that you are still inviting this same solution, the same energy to continue with you so you can receive insight as you go. So what you ask for today may show up 5 days from now in a moment of thought and inspiration. And Reiki works that way. It's not always an instant answer, although a lot of times it is instant. And a lot of times it is immediate clarity or, within a quick amount of time. It doesn't always take days. But that's why I always invite insight, because it can show up so many different ways. And so if you stay in that state of noticing, you can notice when that clarity comes through. You can stay in that state of inviting insight, even in the busyness. It could be in the middle of the grocery store, in the middle of the social event. It can be in the middle of being alone. So inviting the continued insight. So one of the tools that we have is the Reiki journeys. Those are what we try to provide for you here, and provide that not only is this a place that we teach some of these concepts and talk about them, and bring in that how to use Reiki for daily life, for every day, and also that we do provide a Reiki journey, meditation, invocation in a way that it can really bring in clarity for you.